Hello everyone. This is another video that I'm making about Muhammad in the Bible this time. Over the past years I have been engaging with Muslims. I have been asked why I think Muhammad is not a prophet of the one true God. My response was very simple. Muhammad was not a prophet because the Bible repudiates any claim to prophethood that he makes, since Muhammad contradicts the testimony of those very prophets he claims to have followed, in particularly the testimony of the Messiah. And then I always challenge the Muslims with the following. Since the Quran claims that Muhammad is mentioned in the Bible, we should find a description of him there. Yet I can't find a single reference to Muhammad. Muslims always respond back with the claim that Muhammad is used to be in the original Torah and the original Gospel, but he has been edited out since the Bible has been corrupted. And when I then point out that the Quran clearly doesn't support that position, since it makes the claim that Christians and Jews could still recognize Muhammad because of his description in our scriptures, Muslims will ask me for proof. Well, here are the verses that I usually point to. Surah 2, verse 146 says, "Those whom we have given the book recognize him as they recognize their own sons, and a part of them most surely conceal the truth while they know it." Ibn Kathir says about this verse, "Those whom we gave the scriptures, the Jews and the Christians, recognize him, Muhammad, or the Kaaba at Makkah, as they recognize their sons, but verily a part of them conceal the truth while they know it," i.e. the qualities of Muhammad which are revealed in the Torah and the Injil. So, in other words, the description of Muhammad is ever so clear in the Torah and the Gospel that we cannot possibly deny Muhammad's description. I mean, who would not recognize his old child, right? This has to be about the Torah and the Gospel that was in circulation at the time of Muhammad, not about a so-called original Torah and Gospel that people didn't have, because how can people recognize him if they don't have the sources that describe him? So we will look into the claim of the Quran that we can find clear references, clear descriptions of Muhammad in the Bible. But before we do that, I'll bring up one more verse that speaks about Muhammad being mentioned in the Torah and the Gospel that was available to the people of the book at the time of Muhammad. Surah 7 verse 157 says, "Those who follow the messenger, prophet, the Ummi, whom they find written down with them in the Torah and the Injil." This claim is clear. The Torah and the Gospel with his description were available in the days of Muhammad. Since we have complete Bibles from before Muhammad and after Muhammad that correspond with one another, the Quran is saying that Muhammad is in the Bible that we have today, because that Bible corresponds with the manuscripts before, during, and after the time of Muhammad. Yet it will be demonstrated that in reality there is nothing in the Torah or the Gospels that has anything to do with either Muhammad or Islam. In the translation of the Noble Quran, on Surah 7 verse 157, there is following information that gives us a hint at what the Quran is talking about. "Those who follow the messenger, the prophet who can neither read nor write, i.e. Muhammad, whom they find written with them in the Torah, Deuteronomy 18:15, and the Injil, John 14 verse 16. So this verse is referring to Deuteronomy 18:15 and John 14 verse 26. What I find astonishing is that these are the same Muslims that go, "Who is Matthew? Who is Mark? Who is John? Who is Luke?" But when they need those sources, they will run to them. and point to John 14 as an authentic prophecy about Muhammad. Let's take a look though at these two passages and see how the Quran is lying about Muhammad being described in our holy book. Deuteronomy 18:15. A prophet from among you, from your brothers, like me, the Lord your God will set up for you, and you shall hearken to his voice. So we see here that Moses is telling the people that God will raise a prophet like him for the people of Israel, and that they should listen to him. It is well known that Muslims will try to interpret the phrase from your brothers like meaning the brothers of the Ishmaelites in order to have to speak about Muhammad. But is this really the case? First of all, Muslims assume, and I will keep repeating that, assume that Muhammad is from Ishmael, but there is not a stitch of evidence that he is. So that's point number one. Point number two, although this is sometimes the case that the Bible speaks about your brothers and refers to a people outside of Israel, it always uses a qualifier that points us to the specific people outside of Israel that the Bible talks about. When the Bible speaks of your brothers referring to the children of Israel, there is no qualifier. So we know that it speaks about people within the nation. This is without exception. But when it talks about brothers outside of the children of Israel, it always uses a qualifier. For example, in Deuteronomy 2, we see the following. And command the people, saying, you are about to pass through the boundary of your brothers, the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir, and they will be afraid of you. Be very careful. And we departed from our brothers, the children of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, by way of the plain of Elat, and from Etzion Geber, and we turned and passed through the way of the desert of Moab. So, as you can see, there's a clear qualifier used as reference to a group outside of the nation of Israel, namely the phrase the children of Esau. However, there is no such thing in Deuteronomy 18 verse 15 through 18 that points outside of the people of Israel. In fact, the qualifier used there points to someone within the nation itself. Let's look at the Hebrew text. Navi mekir becha meachicha kamoni yakim lecha Adonai Elohecha elav tishma'un. So, we see here the two key words in the text. The word mekir becha and the word lecha. Moses is speaking to the Israelites and tells them that a prophet from among you, mikir becha, pointing to the Israelites, will be raised up. The phrase from among you is the qualifier here. So you have the following qualifiers. Deuteronomy 2:4, your brothers, the children of Esau. Deuteronomy 2:8, your brothers, the children of Esau. Deuteronomy 18:15, from among you, your brothers. The prophet has to come from among the Israelites, not from outside the nation. And also, this prophet will be raised for the Israelites, as the word lecha clearly states. Lecha means for you, which means that the prophet would be raised up for the Israelites, which is an interesting assessment, since it is the Muslims' contention that Yeshua was raised up only for the house of Israel, and Muslims quickly point to Matthew 15:24 to boastfully contrast that with Muhammad, whom they claim was supposedly a universal prophet sent to all mankind and not specific for Israel. That being the case, Muslims shoot themselves in their own foot, unknowingly disqualifying their own prophet from being the subject of Deuteronomy 18:15. Yeshua was primarily raised for the children of Israel and subsequently spread out to the nations by winning the hearts of the people. Muhammad was primarily ministering for the Arabs and subsequently spread out through conquest. In addition, you will never find any reference to the Ishmaelites being referred to as the brothers of Israelites. Never. The Ishmaelites are just considered as idol worshippers in the Bible. They are never tied with the Israelites. Ishmaels play no role of importance in any event in the history of Israel and therefore have no importance in the Bible either. Another claim that Muslims like to make is Paran in the Bible is a reference to Saudi Arabia. They point to the following text, Deuteronomy 33, verse 1 and 2. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Adonai came from Sinai, and rose from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came from the myriads holy. At his right hand was a fiery law unto them. Some Muslims claim that this is talking about Muhammad, claiming that Paran is in Saudi Arabia and Seir is next to Jerusalem, where Yeshua is supposed to have been born. And Seir is supposed to be a reference to Yeshua. And Paran is supposed to be a mountain next to Mecca, of course referring to Muhammad. But this is absolutely not the case. Paran is not in Saudi Arabia, but in the Sinai desert. Moses was never near Mecca or a place called Paran that is in Saudi Arabia. Moses was, however, talking about a Paran in Sinai, where God appeared to the people, which is clearly a reference to Numbers 10 verse 12 and 12 verse 16 and 13 verse 3 and 30 verse 26 and to Deuteronomy 1 verse 1, and not where Muhammad might have come from. That is the Paran that Moses has been describing. Another forged prophecy about Muhammad is from Habakkuk 3 verse 3. They will claim that Taman is referring to Ishmael. Habakkuk 3 verse 3 reads, God comes from Taman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covers the heavens, and the earth is full of his praise. This is another one of the so-called prophecies that is taken by Muslims to make it say what it actually doesn't. According to Muslims, this is about God coming from Saudi Arabia because there are supposed references to descendants of Ishmael and references to places in Saudi Arabia. Apparently, Muslims have a fetish for names in the Bible that might appear to be in the Arabian Peninsula. We have already seen that Paran is not referring to the potential Paran in Saudi Arabia, but to Paran in the Sinai desert. Furthermore, Taman is not a descendant of Ishmael, but the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, the son of Isaac. Tamah is from Ishmael, not Taman. The difference between Tamah and Taman seems insignificant, but they are actually spelled differently if you compare them. Here in Genesis 25:14 we see Tamah, the son of Ishmael, spelled Tav Yud Mem Aleph, and Genesis 36 verse 11, Taman, son of Esau, spelled Tav Yud Mem Nun Sofit. Habakkuk 3 verse 3 speaks of Taman, not Tamah. So the text that Muslims desperately cling to and try to desperately tie to Ishmael to be able to claim that this is about Muhammad is actually a text talking about someone of a completely different line. There is simply no mention of Muhammad in the Bible, as the Quran erroneously claims.